Hey, this is Shea Hillenbrand. I just got off the Resilient Mind podcast with Eric Balance, and let me tell you what, the passion is insane. The questions he asks are out of this world and very, very impactful. I highly suggest you just take the time to watch this podcast and follow him with whatever he's doing because he's going to help you tremendously.
Everybody to the Resilient Minds podcast. You guys, I'm super pumped today because I have an amazing guest to share with you. Shea Hillenbrand, he's been here. He's an MLB All-Star, two-time Major League, and this guy has lived out two, not just one, but two of his childhood dreams. One, of course, the MLB All-Star and owning a zoo. So Shea's transitioned his love for this amazing game of baseball to the love of serving others. And really, what better way to do that than through this powerful and magnificent way to approach real estate. Shea successfully applied the skills that he's mastered over the past 20 years, successfully playing baseball, Major League, to real estate, navigating failure, performing under pressure, pivoting with creativity, and quickly being able to solve problems. All of these things, he's having a passion for dealing with people and helping them build luxury homes, developing luxury transactions, and creating this new pursuance of love to fellow home buyers and helping home buyers and sellers navigate through the process of real estate with confidence. Listen, brother, it's a pleasure to have you. It's so nice to really collectively meet and finally, get your story out there because I know it's one to share to the masses, brother.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me, buddy. So I'm super honored and excited to be able to be a part of your show today.
Dude, so the beautiful thing is we always share about the Resilient Minds, and the name of the podcast, the Resilient Minds, and I always share with everybody how our experiences really contribute to our big why, our big purpose, and I get excited about that because I find that the more that we can contribute through our stories and the way that we serve, I find that it becomes evident in a way that we can resonate. So I just wanted to kind of circle back to you and really go down the Coles Notes version of your experience through life and how you've been able to serve at the highest levels moving forward. And what has that route looked like? Because I know there's resilience that's associated with that and how that's contributed to your big why.
Yeah, thank you so much for asking that. It's really important because like you said at the entry, when I was a kid, I had two childhood dreams. The first dream was to play Major League Baseball. So since 5 years old, 6 years old, 7 years old, I had a baseball in one hand and a glove in the other hand, pursuing that dream of becoming a Major League Baseball player, just like so many kids in the United States. And my second other dream was, as a kid, was to own a zoo. So being able to, and I'll get into that in a little bit, but not many Major League Baseball players, I don't think I might have been the only one ever to be able to go from playing Major League Baseball in the prime of my career and leaving that and potentially $50 million of earnings on the table to go pursue my second dream of owning a zoo. So it's interesting how what I speak on and what I'm passionate about, because I'm one of those guys that went to the top, and 6 years ago, I pretty much lost everything in my life. I made millions and millions of dollars, and with that story that I told myself and the story that formulated my belief system and the belief system that I had that discerns and dictates the decisions that you make is what drove me to the very top and then put me in a position to pretty much lose everything in my life. So yeah, super excited to share that.
Dude, crazy, amazing. I love that because I found, and it's so fascinating that you share this story. And I've been reading Byron Katie. She's so brilliant in the way that she describes this, how like some of this element of enlightenment, it actually comes from losing everything and starting from zero again, because we become nothing or no one, or we enhance our being. And it starts to encapsulate the way that we can start to serve with having zero anxiety around losing it all again, because we know how to gain it back. And all the great, most successful, not all of the great, But many of the greats have lost it all and been able to make it back again. And
That happens a lot. You know, when you go through the process of going to the top and having success, you learn the formula to success. But most importantly, what I want to share is that my success of what I did became my identity of who I was and what I did. So I wasn't a person that played Major League Baseball. I was a Major League Baseball player. And what drove me to the top, my driving force and my why for what I did was a story that I told myself at 14 years old. So at 14 years old, I'm ready to go into my high school years, my sophomore year of high school, and my dad walks into my room. And he proceeds to tell me how he's going to uproot our family from beautiful Southern California and move us to the hot desert of Arizona. So if not many people know that, you're going from the paradise of Southern California, palm trees, beaches, mountains, and I'm going to the middle of the desert with hot, and cactus. That's about it. And the story I told myself when my dad left my room that day at 14 years old is, I'm not lovable, I'm not good enough, and my dad doesn't love me. Because how could he uproot me from my friends, my community of sports, because I was one of the best baseball players, athletes in the town that I lived in, and how could he uproot me from all my friends? So as I reluctantly left all my friends from California, went to Arizona, I decided to become an overachiever through athletics just to get my father's approval and to get my father's acceptance. And so it was a very, very unhealthy why. So quickly in Arizona, I became the #1 high school soccer player in the state of Arizona, and I became the #1 baseball player at junior college in the state of Arizona, and I was drafted by the Red Sox out of there and began my journey. And through 5 years in the minor leagues, because we have a minor league baseball system for Major League Baseball, I became player of the year 3 of the 5 years of each of the teams I was on. I was massively having success. But the thing was, is like I wasn't much better than everybody else, but I knew the formula to success. I was going to go out there and work. I was going to drive. I was going to learn how to train better than anybody else and not give up. The tenacity, the work ethic, the drive, all the stuff that when everybody else gave up, I just kept going. When my friends wanted to party, when they wanted to hang out, when they wanted to say it's too hot in Arizona, when they wanted to say they're too sick, there ain't no such thing as that. And that's what drove me to the top. So I was able to have success, but through that process, I carried a pain with me. And that pain that I carried with me, like I said, was from a very young age with my interactions from my father. And what I want to convey to people is that a lot of times before 7 years old, you know, we have interactions and experiences in our life. And at that point in time, your prefrontal cortex and your reasoning and your processing, because you're from Australia, okay, aren't fully formed. So you really get a jaded perception of life. And if you don't have somebody to help you interpret and translate that and understand these experiences, you're left to your own vices. So when those would happen, I would have these experiences with my father. I would have these experiences in certain situations where I get super emotional. I'd be passionate. And how I interpreted those experiences and communicated those experiences to myself, most importantly, were driving my belief system. And it formed a story of myself that was so incorrect. So when I became a Major League Baseball player, I was having success after success after success. And all I was trying to do was seek my father's approval. And it was so unhealthy. So after 7 years in the major leagues, I had millions and millions of dollars in the bank. I became a 2-time MLB All-Star. I had my son in my arms, my firstborn son in my arms on my couch. And I was trying to have a father-son moment with him. And he had a bright future. Man, all I want to do is have kids. And all I want to do is be a father like so many people out there. So it didn't matter how much success I had, I wanted to be a father. So from there, I could see a pure joy and abundance for my son. And I wanted to connect with my love with him, but I couldn't do that. I couldn't connect with any love inside me because I was disconnected from who I was to have success at the highest level. All I can connect to was that pain that resonated deeply inside of me.
Wow.
And that pain was so deep that it made me numb to everything and everybody around me. So right there in the prime of my Major League Baseball career, like I'm on top of the world flying private jets, making millions and millions of dollars, living my childhood dream, like rocking and rolling, and like the experience after experience after experience, right there with my son in my arms. I didn't even consult with my financial advisor. I didn't consult with my sports agent. I didn't consult with my wife. I didn't consult with my parents. With my son in my arms right there, I made the biggest decision of my life. I quit. I walked away because I couldn't handle that pain anymore. I couldn't handle that understanding of what drove me and that story. Because when you have a story and a thought, that creates an emotion. That emotion is going to dictate and discern what actions you take, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. And I had this negative pain inside me my whole life that I couldn't understand and communicate that. So I just walked away. I walked away from that one childhood dream I had. I walked away from the one thing that so many millions of people like would give their left leg for. And I couldn't do it no more. So I convinced myself that I come home to be a father to my 3 children and pursue my second dream of owning a zoo. Everything would be great. So I purchased a $5 million horse farm, had 300 farm and exotic animals. I quickly became the guy that owned Marley Farms, and not the 2-time All-Star in the major leagues, but through the process of that, all my pain and all my hurt and that story came with me. And I started going on to a spiral that was out of control.
And you found that all of a sudden, did you notice, and I'm curious here, did you notice that just because the situation had changed, that really there was no difference in your mentality, right? It was still applied because you didn't work on what had happened, that pain, that neuro-associated pain that had been created from such a young age that drove you for such a long time. And now you thought that it was as a result of you playing, in the major leagues, or now that there was a different situation that you were going to go do and achieve, and that was going to heal that pain. And so did you, and when was the defining moment that you realized, holy shit, this has nothing to do with the situation or the circumstances around me, but I really need to fucking work on myself. I really need to understand how to dive deep.
And that's a great question. I appreciate you asking that, because it's so deep, an understanding of men, for one, but when you have success. Like, I was treated like a god when I played Major League Baseball. I was god-like. I would have little girls in the stands holding up signs saying, "Will you marry me, Shea?" I would do autograph signings for $10,000 an hour, and have girls come to my table crying and shaking just because they got to meet me. But what they couldn't see is that deep, deep pain resonating inside of me, fueling that pain-driven game. So what did it get to wake me up? When you're super successful and you're so focused and you're so driven and you're so strong-minded, and if you don't have the proper team around you of people that you can trust, you're going to be on a path of either success or destruction or whatever. You're going to be able to obtain success, but you won't be able to sustain success. It's not possible. So it took me to the point to where I lost everything. I lost my farm. I lost my millions of dollars playing Major League Baseball. I lost my marriage of 15 years. I lost my kids. And they're the reason why I quit baseball. And after 4 years of owning that farm, all of this just spiraled out of control. And it was just an endless cycle. When I played Major League Baseball, I'd get 500 texts on my birthday, happy birthday. And that time when I was losing everything, in the bottom part of my life, I got 2 texts and not even one from my family. And what I need you to understand is I cut my parents out of my whole Major League Baseball career because of that story. And that story was incorrect that I told myself. So it took me, unfortunately, to lose everything. And when I lost everything after Major League Baseball, because all the star stardom didn't do it, all the fame didn't do it, all the money didn't do it, all the being on TV in front of millions of people, flying the private jets, 3 cars, 6 cars, 3 mansions, that didn't do it for me. So I thought, okay, maybe I'll go with the animal pursuit because I love animals. That didn't do it for me. And I lost everything. I lost everything in my life, man. And I started going to church. And I started going the spiritual route. And I started going, I need a balance in myself inside spiritually, mentally, and mind, body, and spirit. And I was rocking and rolling. I was speaking in churches, schools, prisons, and all over the place, rocking it. And I was born to speak, brother. And I'm like, dude, this is amazing, man. And then I get done out of speaking, and people come up to me and say, man, you just changed my life. The words you just spoke to me are just pierced my soul, and it just woke me up, and it gave me the opportunity to see who I am and that little bit of momentum and passion to be able to go rock and roll and continue on with my life. But what happened was I'd go home at night, and I'd still have that pain inside of me, even after going to church. So I quickly realized that church was even putting a Band-Aid on that scab and just covered up that wound. Because what happens is, regardless if you go the spiritual route or whatever it is, or whatever you believe in, the universe, anything, I don't care about that. We are in control of our minds. No spiritual route, no God, no nothing can control our minds. And that's the only thing that we have that he has no control of. So I really realized I was like that prostitute that went to church. I was like that kid that was molested that went to church. And I would never compare myself, but that's kind of like the situation of what it was, is that I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. So I couldn't allow any spiritual growth to who I am because that ingrained story of myself. So I preach to people all the time. I help people all the time. I'm like, dude, you got to rewrite your story. Your story is jamming up your gifts, your talents, and your purpose. All that's wrapped up in that bullshit story you're telling yourself. And that story you're telling yourself is chock full of limited beliefs. So what do I say about that? Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. In your experience of this, I just because I really want to emphasize this, how many people and men and experiences are you sharing? Like, do you see? Because you know, you and me are like these masculine guys, right? Like we're people would call us, just by seeing us, these guys, right? Through based off of looking off of us, right? But what I notice is that there's this element of compassion and empathy that I see within you, right? That really contributes to your mission and your big why. How do you allow yourself, or how can to anybody that's listening, male, female, masculine energy, feminine energy, that's listening right now, say to like, hold on a second, you know, because we have these ideologies that we need to be macho as men, or we need to serve as men, or we need to like be focused and driven, and we get stuck in our heads. I know I did for the longest period of time. You know, I know that I did. I thought that, you know, there was a lot of significance associated with that, you know, and coming from a man that, you know, has been, you know, a 2-time MLB All-Star, you know, has lived the dream and still has recognized that, hold on a second, I was coming from maybe a place of significance, maybe a place of ego, maybe some pain associated with that. But how can you now look back at that and be like, wow, this happened for me, not to me?
Yeah, there you go. Tony Robbins right there, brother. I love that. So what happens, dude, is like, I'm telling you, like, this saved my life. This gave me a chance for me to feel what I feel right now, for me to feel like the energy and emotions and the feeling that I have. I had to do 30 milligram Adderall, 6 of those a day, just to wax myself out of my mind, to numb that pain, to feel this. I never thought this was possible. I never thought I'd find happiness, because I know happiness is situational, but fulfillment, because I don't care who you are, we're all trying to seek that same thing, fulfillment. And for me, like so many people, it's wrapped up into your story that you tell yourself. So I went through this process, and I have a PDF to help people out with like discovering and telling your story. And the biggest thing is, like, I'm convinced with this, signed, sealed, delivered. I don't care what anybody says. This is my truth. And I'm going to stand by my truth, because I found my identity and I found my gift of what I do. And it's so pure and so passionate. It's insane. What people don't realize, like, I'm the most introverted person you'll ever see, man. Like, I'm so I don't talk to people.
Bullshit. Like, I call bullshit. Look at this.
Dude, I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you. The reason why I'm like this is because I found my gift. Yeah. I believe, listen to me, I believe we've all been given a gift inside of us. And your gift and your story has gone dormant because that bullshit story, because a life happens to people. That story that we tell ourselves from experiences. And when you have an experience, whatever it is, and when you have that experience and you interpret that experience, the way you interpret that experience to yourself, and most importantly, communicate to yourself. What are you communicating to yourself? 60,000 thoughts going through your head, 48,000 negative. Like, what am I saying to myself? I'm on stage in front of 45,000 people, playing in front of millions of people, and I'm raking, man. I'm hitting bombs, man. Like, I hit, and I'm like performing. I'm on ESPN all over the place. But when I leave the stadium that night, I couldn't even go to a 5-star restaurant and sit at the table and get up from that table and go across the restaurant to use the washroom. That's what you guys call it, the washroom? We call them bathrooms here. The washroom, because I was fear of everybody staring at me. I had zero self-confidence. Why? Because that story I told myself. So all of our gifts, all of our talents, and who we are is wrapped up in our stories. It's almost like a vault. It's like, dude, like, we have a purpose, we have a passion, we have a mission, and until we identify that, I don't care what you do. I'm rocking and rolling in real estate right now. I have 5 kids, a beautiful wife. I'm so blessed, but it's like, this is what I do. This is what I want to do. I want to use my voice to inspire other people to find their voice, which is their purpose, their passion, their mission, and who they are, their identity. When you step into your identity of who you are, there's nothing that can stop you. Like if I get off this podcast in the next 30 minutes and I get in my car and drive and I get into an accident and I die, I'm cool. I'm complete. Like there's nothing that's going to faze me, because there's nothing this world could offer me. Like, I found out what I'm supposed to do. So what do? I help people rewrite the story. I help people find their true identity. so many of us people only tap into 60% of what we're capable of doing. 60%. Why? Because when we get to that threshold of 60%, we have failure, we have setbacks, we have challenges. And when we get those challenges, how do we communicate that challenge to ourselves? How do we interpret that challenge to ourselves? How do we interpret that failure and communicate that failure? See what happens, so many people allow that failure to define who they are, and it keeps them in a plateau, just chill, just like just going through life, just complacent with who they are, because they don't understand how to work this, the most powerful thing we can have. It's 200,000 times more powerful than a computer. It's insane what our mind can do. But what I do is I help people tap into the other 40%, get past that 60% threshold. Let's allow this experience, this failure, this whatever we're going through, this turmoil, whatever it is. We're going to allow this to refine us and not define us.
The 2 millimeter shift, right? The 2 millimeter
100%.
shift to get us going in a whole new trajectory, right? Because 2 millimeters is, like Tony always says, it can take us on a completely different trajectory pattern. So amazing. This is so inspiring. I love hearing this, and like hearing your why, helping people find their purpose, their passion. What would you tell somebody that is literally, starting to figure it out, or like has maybe become awoke, or maybe they're in deep pain right now? What would you tell somebody that's really in deep pain right now, is really uncertain about where they're at, where they want to go, what they want to create, but they're just feeling uneasy, and they're maybe they're in depression, maybe they're unfulfilled, maybe they're coming from this perspective of negative egoic kind of identity, and how would you go to them or support them in that process?
It's all in your story, right? So it's like once you discover your story, what's led you to where you are now. Okay, regardless if you're having success or you're not having success, there's so many people that are having success that are not fulfilled, and it's empty, and it's obtainable, but it's not sustainable. So figure out your identity. Figure out, who are you? Who are you? That's my question to your audience or your listeners. Who are you? Do you know who you are? Like, there's so many people I come across. There's so many people I help out that have no clue who they are. They know what they're good at. They know what they're like in their profession or whatever they're doing, the skill sets, understanding, but they don't know who they are. And when you don't know who you are, like I didn't know who I was, you turn to external fixes to fill that void internally. And that's drugs, alcohol, sex, pornography, gambling, success. You try to numb that, and you try to block that, and you try to distract yourself from going inward and understanding who you are from the inside. You can Google that all over the place. You can reach out to me. You can DM me. I will, this is my lane. Dude, I will help people discover who the heck they are. It's like, they think they're rocking it, but then when they understand, like, we navigate them through the process, and it's like, dude, this is crazy. And what it is that there's only two states of being that we can operate in at one time. And that's the thing that I want to clarify with people. Like, if you're stuck right now, you're either going to be in an empowering state, or you're going to be in a survival / primal state. You can only be in one of those states at a time. You can't be in both states simultaneously, but we always want to try to be in an empowering state, because that's where creativity is. That's where growth is. That's where your passion is. That's where your vision is. That's where you can go and seek the future. But when you're in a survival / primal state, you're screwed. You're just surviving. And that's where those crazy thoughts creep in. And that's where that fear comes in. And that's where that self-limiting beliefs come in, and those thoughts that go through our process. But the crazy thing is that what I've discovered with myself and the people that I work with is that 100% of the time, the thoughts that people are thinking that send them to a primal survival state, where people are stuck right now, right? If they're depressed, if they're clouded in their mind, like, what am I doing? What's going on? I don't know what's going on. I don't know where I'm going to go. Oh my gosh, COVID-19. Oh my gosh, all this stuff's going on in the world, especially here in the States. We got Black Lives Matter. We got a crazy president. People, like, all these things come up in a survival state. 100% of the time, get this, 100% of the time, the thought that sends you to that state is 100% incorrect. It's not even true. So what I want to do is, like, have people, like, analyze, what state are you in? Where are you at? And what got you there? And that thought, the empowering thoughts, the positive thoughts, the great progressive thoughts are going to send you to that empowering state. We can't be in an empowering state all the time. There's times I'm going to be in a survival state. But if I can identify that, okay, I'm in this state right now, I'm operating right here right now, what can I do to get back over here on this side, and then go back there and keep going? It's just a breakthrough happens at a moment of time, brother. A breakthrough will happen at a moment of time. And most of that is just a simple understanding of where you're at and what led you to where you are and why you're feeling what you're feeling.
I love it. And it's so powerful too. Is like, I always say, it's like our thoughts will create our results and vice versa, right? So like our results will create our thoughts. So it's like, if you want, like you said, this empowering thought, they'll create an empowering result. If you want a disempowering thought, you're going to create a disempowering result. It's just, and it happens. I always say the mind's sight will create the eyesight. So if those people that don't believe in your dreams, right? It's only because they don't see the power of their mind.
They can't see it, man. I'm like, my whole life, I'm like, you can't do that. You can't do that, dude. I just need 0.5%, a 4% of chance, like to make it, dude. And I'm gonna make it, right? Yeah. So that's training your mind. I'm not trying to say this stuff's easy. I'm trying to give people simple steps and simple processes and simple techniques to latch onto to give them a chance to knock this out of the park, man. And no pun intended with baseball, but it's like it's not easy. It's hard. Like what I have to go through on a daily basis, my morning routine of what I got to do with gratitude and my breathing exercises and going and journaling and doing the things, because my mind has been toxic for so long, my whole life. It's crazy, but it's worth it because my why is greater than myself. And that's what I want to convey to people too. Like your why has to be greater. So many people's why is like, I need to take care of my kids. I need to take care of my wife. I need to, dude, like when you become a husband or a wife and when you become a parent, that's like your obligation. That's not your why. That's a given. If you don't want to do that to your kids, you got something wrong with you and we need to talk. So your why's got to be greater than you, man. And like the human potential is limitless, as we know. But what limits people is that mindset. And that's that success cycle that Tony Robbins talks about, right? Yeah. You have a limited potential, all right? And then what are you going to tap into? How much potential are you going to tap into? And then you're going to get your results. And then you're going to get your belief system because you're going to believe what you're going to believe from those results. If you take lousy action with a little bit of potential and then you get lousy results, you're going to reconfirm. See, I told you so. I can't lose weight. See, I told you so. I can't do this. I told you so. Well, duh, because you're taking lousy action. You're not taking, but if you take massive action and you tap into massive potential and you get results, and then you add in sensory acuity to what's going on and how that sensory acuity of what's working, what's not working. And that's why in the intro, like being a Major League Baseball player, I know how to pivot, man. I know how to pivot. If something's not working, okay, let's figure this out. Let's figure this out. Let's go here. Let's go here because I know what I want to achieve because I know who I am with my identity and I understand my story. Like if you just Google my name, I was very unhealthy. I was a cancer of the clubhouse. I was like the asshole of the clubhouse. I was a guy, Major League Baseball players like do not want. This guy's crazy. He could play, but this dude's off his rocker, man. And that hurt me. So after I left baseball, I went on this 12-year deep dive. I got a PhD in this stuff, bro. I got a PhD in this, man. You don't need no school. Like I wanted to live. So what I wanted to get to in my story of what I was telling you about is that, bro, check this out, man. Like when I was going to church and I realized that doesn't working, I found myself at 3:00 in the morning on the floor of a van. 6 years ago, I was living in a van. After playing Major League Baseball, bringing $18 million home, I was on this floor of this van. And after overdosing on drugs and alcohol, not to kill myself, but to numb that pain because I couldn't deal with it anymore. I didn't understand how to do it. I wanted to numb that pain. And here lies a guy on the floor of this van in front of my ex-wife's house with my 3 children inside that house, an arm's reach away. The children I quit baseball for. I'm laying there motionless. So many people envied me. But I go through the same challenges that so many else people go through because I'm a human being. I'm not no superhuman person. I'm a human being that knew how to tap into success on the field, but I know how to tap into success internally for myself because all I ever had to do is hit a baseball. If you hit a baseball, everything's going to be great. And when you're the best, you get treated differently. And as the soul is leaving the top of my head and I'm clinging onto my last breath, the thoughts going through my mind. You're a failure. You lost everything. What are your parents going to think of yourself? What would your parents do if you left this world today, man? What kind of dad would do this to his kids? I don't know. My answer was, I don't know, because I'm nothing if I don't have Major League Baseball, because that became my identity. people's success, people's profession, people's pursuit becomes their identity, and it's so toxic because they lose who they are through the pressure, through the challenges, through what it takes to get to the top. I was tired of finding that pain-driven game, and I let go, man. I don't know if I died or if I fell asleep that night 6 years ago. And then by the grace of God, the next day, the sun peered through the front windshield of the van, kind of like the sun setting here right now, so I apologize for my lighting, but the sun peered through and it woke me up. And it woke me up, and it's like, oh my gosh, man, I had an aha moment. Because when I came to, I realized that I didn't have any side effects, no headache, no stomachache, no nausea, no nothing. And the concoction of pills and the alcohol I took the night before, successful people know how to take care of business. You know that. You know that, man. Like, you gotta have the obsessive personality to go out there rocking. And I had a toxic mindset, and I tried to take care of business that night. And I had two choices that should have happened that next day when I woke up in that van. I should either been in a hospital or dead, because I took so many pills and I took so much alcohol to numb that pain that it was crazy. And when I came to, I realized I had no side effects. It was an aha moment for me. And I said, man, I got to keep going, man. I got to keep going. I got to keep moving. Something's got to happen, because I know this. And shortly after that fateful night in the van, the Lord brought my wife, Kristen, into my life. And it took someone else. And that's the thing I need you to understand. I need especially men to understand. It took someone else for this godlike Major League Baseball player, this person who's done everything. Because men got ego, men got pride. And after 35 years old, it's so difficult to change a man's personality, a man's belief system, especially if you're a superstar athlete who's a celebrity. But it took someone else to help me through that process, to recreate a new belief system. Man, I recreated a new belief system. So I understand what it takes to recreate a belief system. And if I could do it, stupid cliche crap, if I could do it, other people could do it, man. But I was on this deep journey dive, but it took someone else to help me. So what am I trying to bring it to? What I'm trying to bring it to is, for one, you have to have identity of your target, of what you're trying to achieve. Have identity of your target. Your why has to be strong. You have to have a strong why for what you're trying to do. It has to be powerful and what? Greater than you. But most importantly, like Tony Robbins says, that why has to be a negative why too. If I don't reach this, if I don't go out there and try to figure out who I am, what am I going to feel? Because why? We're always trying to run away from pain and seek pleasure. That's right, right? So your why has to be strong. And then three, you have to take massive action. So I just took massive action, but I need someone else to believe in me. I need someone else to be able to push me and love me unconditionally and hold me accountable. So you have to have that, and you have to have mentors in your life. Your mentors could be on YouTube. Your mentors could be you. Could be me. It could be like, we have so much at our fingertips right now. They could be there. You got to put the positive in. You got to put the good in. You got to retrain that mind. You got to rewrite that story. Say, dude, but you got to understand your story first. What led you to where you are? I don't believe you can rewrite a story until, because right, Tony Robbins says, change your story, change your life. Change your story, change your life. I got to understand my story where I'm at now before I could change it. I got to understand it. So once I understand my story, and I can understand my character flaws, and I can understand what led me to the decisions that I made, right? Because your belief system drives your decisions you make, whether they're good, whether they're bad, empowering, or disempowering. So what was driving those decisions was a belief system. I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough. I'm a piece of crap. I know how to rock it. I know how to do this, but I'm not lovable. I'm not good enough.
I love it. So how were you able to change, describe that process from taking that old identity and creating this new identity, this new Shea that's sitting right before me, able to manifest and bring this power and this energy and these values and how they show up in the world? Describe that process.
Hours and hours and hours, because I didn't have a system, brother. I went on this by myself. I was embarrassed, man. We got to understand, man. Like I was super uber successful. I was embarrassed. The hardest thing I ever did in my life is ask somebody else for help. But what people need to understand, the new power, what makes you powerful is vulnerability. In order for you to be vulnerable, you got to understand your story. See, people that are listening right now, they can't relate to two-time All-Star of Major League Baseball. They can't relate to me like what it's like to play in front of millions of people on a baseball field, to be able to hit a game-winning home run and the ground shaking, but they can relate to the pit parts of my story. And I couldn't go there until I understood what led me to the decisions I made that led me down that path of self-destruction, of having a bunch of character flaws. So I have a 4-step formula. It's just like telling a story or telling like a movie role, right? There's a call to action. What point in time of your life, when things going good, that there's an incident or an experience that sent you into like stuff started going bad. For me, it was when I was 14 years old, sitting on my bed. My dad walks into my room. He says, I'm going to uproot the family from California to Arizona. And the story I told myself, that sent me into my pit. Number 2, the pit part of your story. The pit part of your story is where you go to the deepest part of your story. It goes to where I lost everything in my life after my farm. I lost everything. I got down on my knees, asked the Lord to take my life. I lost my millions. I lost everything. That's the pit part. What led me there? Decisions, story. And after that, you go through a search. You try to search. You like try to figure it out. Like, what do I need to do? Who am I? Where am I? What's going on? And I went to this search part of my story. I went to church. I went to this business. I had success here. And then I finally met my wife. And when I met my wife, I went through a process of understanding my story. And my breakthrough moment was when I really realized that when my dad walked into my room when I was 14, he moved our family because of me, to give me a chance to play Major League Baseball. He wanted to stay in California. My family wanted to stay in California, but my dad dealt with a generational curse, with crap he dealt with his dad, and that story I told myself was 100% incorrect. And when I realized that, I'm like, oh my gosh, what I told myself was wrong. The power of your story is everything. Your story is your branding. Your story is your message. Your story is unique to you, and you're going to be able to monetize your story and your brand and your movement, because why? Once you identify who you are, you unleash that talent, you unleash that gift that you have, and that gift you've been given to help other people solve their problem. My gift is not to sell houses. My gift is not to be a real estate agent. My gift is not to have success in the financial space. My gift is not to hit a baseball time and time and time. Bro, my gift is to speak life into people. My gift is to get people to get motivated, to inspire them, to say, dude, you could do this. Like, you're tapping into only like so many percentage of what you're capable of doing. Let me help you, take you through this process to understand and uncover why you've been where you are. We're going to take that dream that's been dormant. We're going to wake that son of a bitch up, and we're going to go out there and identify who we are, and we're going to align ourselves with our gifts and our talents, and we're just going to rock it. Whatever industry that you're in, it doesn't matter what you do. You could be a teacher, you could be a doctor, you could be an insurance agent, you could be an entrepreneur, you could be whatever you want to be, a speaker on stage. But until you, bro, you got to see it, man. You're a speaker. How many speakers do you come across that are surface level speakers? They don't move a room. They just teach principles, they teach us stuff, but they're not in depth and like, dude, listen up. I'll take you to the promised land. That's it. Yeah. Your passion will fuel your purpose. But my passion fueled negativity. My passion fueled the pain that I had. My passion fueled all that crap from that story, and it drove me down an area of nonsense, of nothingness. And so many people out there right now are in a land of complacency. Like, we haven't been created to be complacent, average. We haven't even been created to be good. We've been created in his likeness. We've been created to be great. Greatness. We all have greatness within us. I didn't even know I had this in me. I could hit. I couldn't even speak. I couldn't even talk to people. But once I discovered who I am, like, this is the last thing I thought I'd ever be doing. I'm like, what am I doing right now? Like, how am I doing this? This ain't me. This is my gift. And this is where I'm confident. This is where I'm like, dude, I don't care who you are. I got it. I got it. I'm world class with my gift. Just like everybody's world class with their gift. Like, I'm not confident in anything else in my life. I'm not like the most humble person, but like, dude, bring it. Let's go.
I love it. And dude, this is so important because it shows up evidently in your work, right? So these values, this passion, this purpose will show up in your work consistently because you're like, I can sense, I can feel the energy, right? And this is where, you know, people will say like, holy cow, Eric, you're intense. And I take that as a compliment because that means that it's a profound way that I can encapsulate. And I think the same thing probably happens to you, Shea. Am I right?
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
100%.
right.
Like,
so how do those values show up in your work, and how does it allow you to really build emphasis in the success that you've seen in your work?
Yeah, now real estate, I'm doing that. I'm building a pretty big real estate team. I'm with a brokerage where I can have real estate agents all over the world. Matter of fact, but what it is like I've defined who I am, and I'm taking my gifts and talents inside of my industry of real estate. Like I'm not a guy that's going to go door knock, and I'm not going to guy that's going to pick up the phone and cold call people. I'm a guy that's going to make video after video after video. And I'm going to do podcast after podcast, and I'm going to add value to people and keep adding value to people with my gift within my space. And they're going to know that's coming from a real estate agent, right? So what it is you have to identify who you are and what you try to achieve, and then you have to figure out what you want to do within your industry. If you just try to make money just to make ends meet, do a 9 to 5. Some people are cool with that, but my belief system is like we haven't been created to do that. That's just we've just been forced to put ourselves inside those parameters because that's where, like, especially in the United States, the society has pushed that upon us to where we got to be just go through click the paycheck, the time clock, and then pick up my paycheck every 2 weeks. So you have to identify who you are. You have to identify what you're trying to achieve within the space of what you're doing. And then once you identify what you're trying to achieve in the space of what you're trying to do, you have to understand your driver. What's driving you? What's going to drive you? Because of whatever you're doing, whether you're going to be a speaker, a podcaster, a teacher, a real estate agent, dude, you're going to get a shit sandwich thrown at you. So you got to figure out what you love to do to where you want to eat that shit sandwich. I can't tell you how many times I wanted to give up when I was going to the big leagues to play, like thousands of times. I'm like, I'm giving up. Dude, this sucks. This is hard. Success ain't easy, man. Like if you want to do it the right way, where it's sustainable, right? So you have to figure out that space. Okay, what do I like to do? And if I'm in a job right now where I'm in a job to make ends meet, okay, what can I do with the time that I have after work or before work or a lunch break or whatever, to I'm not just on social media? I'm in a position where I'm able to build up my brand. I'm able to build up my skill sets of the industry or wherever my passion is, or whatever I'm trying to do. You can do whatever you want. I mean, I went from Major League Baseball to owning a zoo to becoming a real estate agent to being a speaker all over the internationally. And it's just like, until I understood who I was, like, and what I wanted to do, you have to have that target, right? Because the RAS kicks in, your reticular activating system, because your mind can't discern the difference between imagination and reality. Absolutely. And you just keep feeding that and feeding that and feeding that and feeding that and feeding that. It's going to come. It's going to come. Like, I've wanted to be on Ed Milet's podcast. I idolize Ed Milet. This guy's a rock star in his space. He's a baseball fan. And I said, I'm going to be on his podcast someday. Like, I just keep saying that. I'm just going to keep doing that. And myself, I'm navigating with inside the space to where I am working with Ed Milet. Like, greater than I ever thought. I'm not on his podcast. I'm working, and I'm in his network of people that's way more powerful than being on his podcast. Was like, dude, they got the goods. So if you want to be super successful, if you want to understand how to rock it, you got to put yourself around people that are better than you. You hear it all the time, but it's so true. If you're the smartest person in the room, you get out. The average of the 5 people you hang out with, dude, I want to hang out with people that are rocking and rolling in the industry. That's why I did this podcast. I look up to you, bro. You're doing it, and I want to be like, dude, like, teach me, fail, teach me, pivot, fail. I'm going to fail. I can't worry about that because I have my vision. I have my why. I have my target, all that stuff. You have to go through the process.
Yeah, man.
You have to.
Absolutely, bro. Dude, this is so humbling and so amazing. And thank you for the kind words, man. It's a very bilateral, right? Like, same thing, man. Like what you've created and how you've been able to push through, your story and how you consistently show up and this passion. I fucking love it, bro. And I just want to share, like, you've given this beautiful path to success, right? For so many of the listeners right now. What would be one thing you think, or one reason why people fail?
Themselves. They don't know who they are. We're all going to fail, right? Regardless of what you do. See, in 2004 with the Arizona Diamondbacks, I had 600 plate appearances. I played every single day. If people know baseball, to hit 300 is like you're a superstar status. You're a superstar rock star. So in 600 play, I had 580 plate appearances.
Wow.
So I had a 310 batting average. So if you do the math with that and reverse engineer that, that means I had 180 hits out of 580 plate appearances. What does that mean? 400 times throughout 6 months, I got knocked in my face. I got laughed at. I got booed at. I got whatever. Just like knocked down. You suck. You're a piece of crap. You're gonna lose. Like through 6 months. And what it is like until you understand who you are and what makes you tick and how you operate. I'm not talking about personality tests. I'm talking about just being present and understand, okay, I'm getting pissed off right now. Okay, I get up today. I don't want to do anything. Okay, so like for me, like it's, believe it or not, like I was a specimen when I played baseball. I trained and I trained and I trained. You know what I hate now? I freaking hate working out. I despise it. Like I hate doing cardio. I hate working out. Like and that's what it is. But I know in order for me to tap into the passion that I have, I got to work out. I got to eat right. If I want to go out there and share my message and be on stages and to be able to reach millions of people, I have to do this. If I want to be there for my kids, to be able to walk my daughters down the aisle, and if I want to be there and experience it, I got to work out. It's not like just getting up like, dude, okay, I'm going to get on the treadmill, I'm going to work out. No, dude, why? And that's going to push you through those days to where you don't want to do it. You got to establish that. You got to create those routines. You got to raise your standards, and you got to turn those shoulds into musts. You got to do it, bro. Like there's no other way. It's so stupid. Everybody, like I'm so in depth with this stuff, dude. Like I'm always watching. I'm always studying. I'm always training, and and everybody says the same thing, bro. Everybody says it. But why do people don't want to do it? Why? That's because there's pain involved. The pain of change is greater than the pain of staying where they are. And that pain of where they're staying, that's keeping people where they are, is lulling them into complacency. And we're just complacent with where we are. And then our dreams die. Our dreams go dormant. Our why diminishes. And our identity just fades away. And what do? We cover it up with social media. Get on social media and fight for the greatness. Fight for who you are. Get the inspirational stuff. Follow the people. Like I'm on social media all day long. I can't stand it. I know I have to do it because I got to spread my message and create my brand. I have not responded one time to a political post, a COVID-19 post, or a Black Lives Matter post. I'm not going to allow that to be a distraction of what I'm trying to achieve because I know who the fuck I am and I know what I'm trying to do. And I love all these brothers out there, and I love people being able to get in the position to understand who they are. Yeah. Does that make sense?
I love
that's
it.
What it is. So it's eliminate those distractions.
Dude, it's eliminate the distractions. I love it, man. So before we go, because I want to make sure that we're respecting your time, I want to really emphasize, if anybody wants to connect with you, if anybody wants to get in contact with you, or if you have any lead mate or anything that you want to share with the audience, do you want to just let us know so people know where to find you, how can they connect with you?
Yeah, I park myself on 3 different social media platforms, and that's it right now. I'm on Facebook, so it's the Shea Hillenbrand on Facebook, and then Instagram, IG. I'm on Shea_Hillenbrand. I don't know why, but somebody has my name, Shea Hillenbrand, and why would somebody want to pick me? And then I'm on LinkedIn for the business aspect of, with real estate, stuff like that. But I'm on Facebook all the time, and I'm on IG all the time. If there's anything I could do for any of your listeners, if there's anything, if I touched one person, man, that's what this is about, brother. And that's what drives me, and that's what motivates me, and that's what keeps me going, passionately. Why do I do what I want to do? Why do I do this, man? Why am I here doing it? I'm obsessed with people not to feel the pain that I went through, because I have that story. I have that experience. I was so ashamed for so many years after I left baseball for what I did, for who I became, for not achieving for what I did. But now I understand why I did the things I did. I understand why I disconnected from who I am, because I had those character flaws. Instead of working on those character flaws, I didn't have a team of people around me I could trust, because it's hard to find that, right? I didn't have mentors. I didn't have any of that stuff. So what it is, I'm so standing in my value to where I just want to help people. And that's it. And that's what drives me. I don't want people to feel that pain that I felt, man, because it freaking sucks, man. It sucks.
Serving at the highest level, my brother. So last question before you go. If you had 3 days left to live, what would you do?
To spend time with people close to me, and just really love and sit and ponder about if I did everything I could do, because I'm in hot pursuit all the time. See, it's not always just rewriting your story from a bad story. It's rewriting your story on a continual basis. Progression is the key to happiness. A man without a vision will perish. So what it is, if I'm the same person I am today as I was a year ago, I'm doing myself and the world a disservice. You got to constantly be evolving. You got to constantly keep growing with yourself, with your business, with your relationships, man. This life's going to kick you in the butt. the pressure and the crap of going through and succeeding with pursuing your dream, pursuing your purpose is so far greater than sitting in misery and doubt. I never wanted to be that person to sit on my couch or sit on my rocking chair or sitting on my deathbed and say, I wish I would have. I want to sit there and just enjoy what I have. And if I don't have any more time, I want to know that I've done everything I could with the time that I had with rewriting my story and getting people to understand, like, this is where I was, this is where I'm now, and this is where I'm going. And if there's anybody that I could help and anything that resonates with them that I have, game on. Let's go. Let me help you.
Beautiful, Shea. Thank you so much. I really want to just thank you for the time, for the energy, for the blessings. Is there anything last statements, anything you want to share?
Yeah, 100%, 100%. Rewrite your story. Rewrite your story. It's all with your identity, identifying who you are. You have to identify with your identity. Like, there's such a high percentage of people that the story that they're telling themselves right now are incorrect. And you can rewrite this story right now. You're not too old. You're not too young. There's not too much failure. There's not too much success. Like, rewrite that story. Understand who you are. Unlock those gifts and talents. Wake up those dreams that are dormant and go out there and rock it. And put yourself around people that are shaker and bakers, that are aligned with what you want to do, what to achieve, and they will help you get there. I'm telling you, that's where it's at.
Bless you, bro. Much love. I look forward to chatting soon. Take care of yourself.
Yes,
Much
sir.
love.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.